Houston and OKC just played one of the best games of the season on opening night, went to double overtime. And in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down both of those overtimes, possession by possession, see what both teams were doing good, what both teams were making mistakes, what were the deciding factors that led to OKC coming out on top. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Court Vision. Remember to like the video and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this, more content to come soon now that the NBA season is back. But without further ado, let's jump into it. KD setting a pick for Jabari Smith Jr. That's a tough matchup. Look at the defensive matchups actually right here on the floor. You have Shea guarding Amen Thompson. You have KD being guarded by Cason Wallace. Cason Wallace is a great defender, but KD can just shoot right over that if he wants to. Hartenstein on Şengün makes sense. You have Lou Dort on Jabari Smith Jr. That is a huge size mismatch. And then you have Chet on Tari Eason. Ideally, I think you would probably want Chet on Amen Thompson in a lot of these situations, so Chet can play off and be more of a roamer. But I don't hate the way that OKC is matched up. Şengün just going one-on-one. I mean, that's way too much space. Hartenstein backing up this much. Watch this one more time here. Şengün going to go to work one-on-one. Hartenstein's backing up, giving him way too much space. Gets a little caught as Şengün stops and turns, but I mean, you got to play that much more aggressively defensively if you're Hartenstein. Understand late in the game playing with fouls, but Shea gets over the pick, right into the chest. Crazy kick out. Good ball movement. Kick ball from Şengün. Amen Thompson doesn't actually return to the game after this. They say it's cramping or something on the broadcast. Not exactly sure what the injury designation was, but Amen Thompson does not come back into the game after that play. All right, you'll notice for the rest of the game, this is a key matchup to watch. Shea is going to be guarded by Josh Okogie because Amen Thompson obviously leaving with the injury. They don't really have a guy that they feel super comfortable going to. Reed Shepherd switched onto it. SGA is going to attack that every single time. That elbow jumper right there around this elbow, he's gone to that so many different times in this game. You'll see it a couple more times in this overtime and then in the second overtime as well. But he's able to get downhill off of a pick or off of a switch or something like that. In this case, it's just on Reed Shepherd, who is undersized, not a super good matchup for Shea there. But he's able to just get to a bump or a fade at this elbow jumper so consistently in this game. That's part of why he's such a dominant scorer, is he's just able to get to his spots so efficiently. Şengün continuing to bring the ball up here. He's basically been playing point center for most of this game. Reed Shepherd going to work one-on-one here with Cason Wallace. I don't love that. I don't love that possession for the Rockets. Reed Shepherd going one-on-one against Cason Wallace, who had 5 steals in this game. Cason Wallace is a super tenacious on-ball defender. Look at it here. I don't love that foul call. I think that was mostly ball, if not all ball there. Or 1 for 2 on the free throws there. Shea going to bring the ball up here. Again, with the fake screens here, OKC is running. If we go back and watch this one more time, so many times in this game, especially in this overtime, you notice, look at Chet here. He's going to come step up like he's going to set the screen, which if you pay attention, now look, there's 3 defenders all focused on this action right here, which means that there's going to be someone on OKC open on the opposite side. You have Okogie looking to try and get switched on to Shea if he can, because you don't want Reed Shepherd taking on that matchup. Şengün is trying to communicate, tell somebody to fill this empty space here defensively. But Shea, again, like I said before, this is kind of like a fake screen action. Chet is going to step up and then kind of pop it to the outside before actually setting the pick, which is going to get the defense off balance a little bit. And now look here. You have a 2-on-1 over in this corner where Hartenstein can maybe cut, potentially get a lob. You have Cason Wallace on the outside. That makes that hard for Jabari Smith Jr. Shea's going to drive, steps back into the 3. And I mean, you don't necessarily love the step back 3 for Shea, not one of his most efficient looks, but at the end of the day, that is a pretty solid shot for your most talented player. And it's all because of those fake screen actions. Şengün working a pick for KD here. Lou Dort's defense here was spectacular. I want to watch that actually one more time. So KD's going to come here. Lou Dort goes over the pick, stays with KD the whole way, then manages to kind of step off, which allows KD to get past him. KD was kind of expecting the bump, maybe a little bit of a chair pull there from Lu Dort, but Lu Dort is trying to funnel him into Chet at the rim. But he's going to lose control of the ball, go under Chet as he tries to jump and block him, which actually ends up benefiting KD. Finds a kick out there to Jabari. That's a great shot off of kind of a broken possession. But I do love the defense there from OKC. Lu Dort playing it on ball very well, feeding him into his big at the rim. I think you're very happy allowing KD to try and finish at the rim through Chet. Chet is one of the best rim protectors in the league. Again, they're trying to get that switch on Reed Sheppard for Shea. They send 2. Ball comes back. Not a great possession there for OKC. They spend a lot of time trying to get that switch, and eventually the double comes late enough where Houston is able to kind of basically run down the shot clock because Shea spends so much time trying to get that switch, and then the double comes late enough where they can't really get a great shot out of it. Shea, if you look again here, Shea is forced to take a deep 3. Look at the contest there from Reed Sheppard. This shot is basically never going in. Look at the distance. That's a 30-foot jump shot, probably something like that. Reed Sheppard with a good contest. That shot is never going in. Great defensive principles there to allow the switch, but then send the late double. You'll also notice the Rockets absolutely dominating the boards. They were dominating the boards this entire game. Şengün sitting another pick, wide open on the roll, gets fouled. Want to watch that one more time, see what the breakdown was. So you have KD matched up with Lu Dort. Cason Wallace is going to try and match up with Jabari Smith Jr. But if you'll look here, Şengün is going to come over and kind of get in the path a little bit of Cason Wallace as he's trying to come over here to Jabari Smith Jr. It's a smart little play. And then Hartenstein steps up, and now that sets up the spacing that you want. Cason Wallace has to respect Jabari Smith Jr. as a shooter. Şengün sets the pick up nice and high. This is a classic for Ime Udoka. He's run this all the time last year. It looks like it's going to continue. The super high pick and roll. KD comes over the top of the screen. This time they actually managed to catch Lu Dort, which then means Hartenstein has to step up towards KD. You're not going to leave him. But look how much space now after the pocket pass. Look how much space Şengün has to work with. The backline help is going to be Shea over here, Chet over here. Şengün coming downhill one-on-one with Chet. I think that's a good possession for the Rockets here because, as you'll notice, Chet is going to foul because Şengün actually manages to hesitate just long enough to get Chet in the air, get the foul call, and get to the free throw line. Great play. But that is super important because at this point in the game, Chet Holmgren, I think, now has 5 fouls. So you will take this every single time if you are the Houston Rockets. Şengün one-on-one moving downhill with Chet Holmgren. Either Chet is going to foul him and Şengün's going to get to the line, or Şengün is going to finish. It's actually could have been Shea with the foul there too, to be honest. Shea bringing the ball up here. Okogie comes out and meets him up nice and high. Look at how high that Okogie picks up, and now look how high Chet has to set this pick. Again, he's going to get that switch onto Reed Sheppard. He's been hunting that basically all of OT. They're going to send 2 to the ball, and now Chet is free for a 3. And Chet's going to drain a wide open 3 like that every time. I understand what Houston is trying to do there. They've been having success sending double teams and whatever to Shea to try and force the ball out of his hands during this overtime. But in that situation, you need your weak side man down here on this corner. In that case, it would have been, let's rewatch that one more time. You need KD to kind of zone up with Lu Dort and with Chet over here and close out. As soon as KD sees Chet step up like this, over to the side, and they're sending 2 more. Look at this right here. As soon as you see this, KD needs to step up and close out to Chet, because then Şengün can rotate over and cover potentially Dort if he's going to take the 3 or try and backdoor cut. But KD absolutely needs to step up here and contest that 3 a little earlier. Şengün bringing the ball up again, point forward, guard setting a screen for him. He gets that switch onto Shea. Shea overplays it, actually trying to reach for the steal. And now look, again, Şengün has room. Tries to throw a no-look pass, but again, that was a good possession for the Rockets, just a mistake there from Şengün. Looking at this possession here, off of the turnover, Shea is going to split the two defenders here. It's Reed Sheppard. I mean, Shea basically fakes him out like a wide receiver would try and fake out a cornerback, gets Reed Sheppard turned the wrong way. There's no way he's ever going to recover. You have Jabari and KD looking to step up here, but then look who's wide open in the corner. That's Lou Dort. It's a great shot for the Rockets. Holmgren gets the rebound, but a great block from Jabari Smith. 1, 2. Great play there. You'll notice this. The Rockets always do a great job of having these bodies in position around the rim. Look at this. They have Jabari Smith, 6'10", Şengün, 6'11", and then Josh Okogie on the backside here, all looking to get this rim. They've been dominating the glass the entire game. That was a huge part of their identity last season. Looks to be continuing this season. And then that's a loose ball foul there on Chet at the end, which is what it is. Okogie not picking up Shea as high on this possession. Hartenstein coming up to set this pick. Okogie navigating that super well, actually. Reed Sheppard coming over to take a peek and help out a little bit. Great defensive principles there. Good reaction from Reed Sheppard to not give up too much space to Alex Caruso while still stepping over to help on the initial action, stop Shea from getting that dribble penetration. Another possession where the Thunder are taking a very long time to get into their action there. Shea up at the top of the key was basically just dribbling for 10 seconds before Hartenstein came up to set the pick. And then the help from Reed Sheppard up top was able to deny that action. And once you spent that much time early in the possession, you don't have, the time to shot clock to work with to set up a secondary action. That's something you see super well from the Pacers a lot of the time. They're really good at getting into their initial action very quickly so that they have time to go into a second, third action even before the shot clock expires. But OKC has definitely been having trouble not getting into what they want to do as quickly as they need to. 16 on the game clock, 16 on the shot clock. Houston should take their time here on this possession. Şengün going to get free. They have Alex Caruso matched up one-on-one with Şengün. This is something that you saw from OKC a lot last season, just having Alex Caruso basically just take on the assignment with the big, and especially in a double big lineup like this where Hartenstein is assigned to Steven Adams. I really like this because in this game, Şengün has been shooting a ton of threes. I think he had 5 makes from outside in this game. Very good percentages. I think he's 5 for 8. So you don't want to put Hartenstein on him because you want Hartenstein lower, especially in the single big look without Chet on the floor. You want Hartenstein lower to not only, one, deal with the physicality and the size of Steven Adams, but you also want him lower to be able to help at the basket and whatever off of Steven Adams, whereas you want a more mobile defender on Şengün to be able to step out and close out to those threes. So I like that from OKC here. Şengün just working one-on-one. Misses, but he grabs his own rebound. I mean, like I said, I like using Caruso to defend this, but the problem is look how much time Şengün has. He has 3 dribbles before any help comes on this possession. Let's watch this one more time. Look, Şengün has 1 dribble, 2 dribble, 3 dribbles, 4 dribbles, 5 dribbles before any help is even looking over. Shea's not stepping up. Dort is not stepping over. Hartenstein's in position, but Steven Adams has the inside position with the rebound. There is just way too much time and space for Şengün to work on this post up with Caruso. Caruso is a great defender, but I mean, the size mismatch is just way too much. And then look, Şengün misses it short, but him and Steven Adams both have position for the rebounds. And I mean, you just have to send earlier help there on Şengün on that possession. Ties the game, but there's still 9 seconds to go for OKC here. Rockets have a foul in this situation if they need to use it. Ideally, you'd like to just burn some time off the clock before you use it. Let's see. So the initial matchups you're going to see here, you actually have Jabari on Shea. You have Josh Okogie on Dort because I imagine the idea here from Ime Udoka, what he thinks he's seeing here is that Shea is going to try and work some kind of screen to get free off of Lou Dort so they can just switch Josh Okogie onto Shea because that's the matchup they want. I'd imagine that's what they're trying to do here. Instead, it's actually a double move, but the defensive principle actually holds up for Houston. They're able to get Josh Okogie onto Shea, which is the matchup they want. Good way to play that from them. You have Steven Adams on Caruso, not necessarily something you love, but they're able to get the primary matchup they want. And then Josh Okogie is going to foul him as Shea gets by. That's a good foul. Fouls him in the back so that there's no possible shooting foul. Burns off 4 or 5 seconds off the clock. SGA is going to get matched up one-on-one here with Tari Eason. Has to pull it because there's just no time on the shot clock yet again. Nothing. There's going to be some controversy about whether or not KD called a timeout there. I don't necessarily think it matters. The refs ruled that he didn't call a timeout, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's the end of the first overtime. All right, tip off here of overtime number 2. Reed Sheppard going to bring the ball up. Let's see what the action is here. A little horns action here for Reed Sheppard. He can either get Caruso or Hartenstein on the switch here. I'd imagine he's going to try and attack over the Steven Adams pick. Not only is Steven Adams probably a better screener, but also Hartenstein is way more favorable matchup. Yep, that's exactly what you'd expect to see, but Cason Wallace is going to jump it. Steven Adams is free on the roll here, but Reed Sheppard can't make that read. Gets the ball back up to Şengün. But, I mean, they're happy with this matchup here, too. Şengün has had a lot of success attacking Caruso one-on-one. They send help. Reed Sheppard is open for 3. That's a great shot. I think you're happy with that if you're the Rockets. Hartenstein setting the pick. I mean, if SGA can get into open space on Steven Adams off a pick like this, let's watch this one more time. Good screen from Hartenstein. The communication there obviously must have been a breakdown for the Rockets. Steven Adams is not the type of mobile big that you want playing this kind of drop coverage on Shea. Anytime Shea has that space, he's either going to get to his pull-up, get to a bump, get to the free throw line. I mean, there has to be some kind of adjustment there from Houston. You can't let Shea just come over and get that switch so easily. You have to be either playing up to the level and trapping that with backline help or something, because Shea is going to eat on that every single time. SGA up at the top, Reed Sheppard on him, finds Caruso in the middle. Ball works its way back to SGA. That's good ball movement there from OKC, just can't convert on the 3. What's the action here? Little off-ball movement here, trying to free up KD. KD playing the pick and roll. Finds Sheppard on the back. Great hands by Hartenstein there. Watch that one more time. So KD is going to come over the top of the pick, gets Hartenstein here. Lou Dort is going to come back over to him and double while Cason Wallace is tagging Steven Adams, which leaves Reed Sheppard open for the catch. Reed Sheppard makes a great read, identifying how much space in the middle of here in the pocket that Steven Adams has. Going to find him with the ball, and this should be, as every day of the week, this should just be points for the Houston Rockets. But Hartenstein with great hands knocks it off the leg of Steven Adams. They have Jabari Smith Jr. now being the primary matchup for Shea with Okogie off the floor. Just something to notice. They're going to switch this pick up here. Cason Wallace just loses the handle. The commentators are talking about that potentially could have been the 6th foul on Şengün. I didn't really see much that I thought would have been a foul. Center setting a screen for a center. Hartenstein's playing this drop coverage, but because the pick is so high, the drop is not super bad. Şengün able to spin, and he's just going to get fouled. I mean, if you're giving Şengün this much space to operate downhill, he's proven that, at least in this game, that he is absolutely taking advantage of that every single time. Gets the line for 2 more free throws there. Cason Wallace going to initiate the action this time instead of Shea. Some off-ball screen there for Caruso as Shea gets the catch, try and free him up. He's going to slip past Şengün. I mean, in this situation, you would ideally like this defender to switch on to Shea quickly and identify this, but Şengün is to put it politely, not fast enough to keep up with Shea on this situation. So you do have, look at this help coming over. You have Steven Adams ready to help. You have Jabari Smith ready to help. You have KD ready to help over here. Problem is, Shea is very good at either getting fouled in the situation or finding the kick out. There's a good recovery actually by Şengün to kind of close over a little bit, make that pass to Dort a little harder. And then in this specific situation, KD is helping off of Hartenstein, who's not a shooter. So in this case, while usually I'd say that 3 bodies here is probably a little too much help, Shea is going to make that read. I think the Rockets are able to play it in such a way, forces Shea to try and finish through 3, but he does get to the line. I mean, that's tough if you're the Rockets. Just the initial action there. If Şengün can't switch on to Shea and stay in front there, I mean, the defense has to rotate up. The help was right. The principles were right. It's just very hard to stop Shea when he's moving downhill with that head of steam. Reed Sheppard running the action yet again here. Casey Wallace, very high pickup. Casey Wallace's ball pressure has been spectacular all night. It's going to come over that screen. Look how much help there is here on Reed Sheppard. They really aren't respecting Şengün here. I do like this help here from Hartenstein off of Steven Adams. I don't think Steven Adams is necessarily going to punish you for giving him this much space and this much runway because Shea is able to help low if he needs. But I don't necessarily love Alex Caruso stepping off of Şengün in this situation. A little too much space. Sheppard's able to work through and get up a decent floater, but in that situation, I think if Reed Sheppard is able to find Şengün, Şengün does have a lane to either get to the rim or work his game. In transition here, Shea's going to bring the ball up. Again, Reed Sheppard's feet, this is the second time I've noticed this just in these overtime periods alone. When Shea is moving downhill, Reed Sheppard's feet are very often getting turned the wrong way. He's not like backpedaling in the way that you would want. The cornerback wide receiver analogy that I used earlier is great here because typically your corner is going to be backpedaling before they spin and follow the route from the receiver. In this situation, Reed Sheppard needs to be backpedaling and then follow the direction that Shea decides to move, but he's facing this way. His hips are turned the wrong way. Shea's able to get around him to the side. Şengün has to step over and potentially help on Shea driving to the basket, which leaves Caruso over here in the corner free. Misses the shot, but that is a good look. Casey Wallace going to inbound it up to Caruso up high. They're sorting out their coverages. They have Reed Sheppard switched onto Shea in this situation, but they're going to switch it right back. Reed Sheppard steps up. They keep Jabari on Shea, which is the matchup they want. Ball comes over to Lou Dort. KD steps out. Shea is going to flash to the middle of the screen, get a catch. Now look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bodies all focused on Shea. Casey Wallace can potentially get a 3. Alex Caruso can potentially get a 3. Hartenstein can potentially get a back cut in this situation. Look how much attention Shea is drawing from the defense here. I mean, if that's the MVP right there, there's not really much else to say. Kicks it out to Caruso. Had maybe an opportunity for a 3, but doesn't take it. Look at this. 2 still focused on Shea here. They absolutely, under no circumstances, do they want Shea getting the ball. Caruso in the middle of the floor. They're trying to break the zone, or the Houston Rockets playing a lot of zone in these overtimes because of the foul situation on Şengün. Hartenstein with a good tip out there. Now it's KD switched on. SGA is going to dance a little bit. Not the possession I was thinking of. There's another possession later in the game, I think, where KD is switched onto Shea. Just watch this one more time. They're able to get the tip out and then get the ball back to Shea in space. When they aren't able to send this double, look at Hartenstein clearing out, bringing Steven Adams with him. Casey Wallace is going to backpedal and bring Reed Sheppard with him. Basically, the only guy that can potentially help is Jabari, but then you have Şengün trying to zone this up, which I don't love. It's a tough situation to be in if you're the Rockets defending. I think in this situation, they should either commit to the trap and try and double Shea here and then leave Caruso free, or they should commit to playing man and let Shea take the 3, have KD, back a little more. I think you're happy with that if you're the Rockets. I think Shea taking that off the dribble 3 is much less efficient from a numbers perspective than a lot of the other shots that the OKC could have gotten in that situation. Şengün again bringing the ball up. Going to find Reed Sheppard. What's the action here? Trying to get a catch for Steven Adams. Oh, Jabari Smith is able to find post position here on Shea on the weak side. Caruso is going to look over and help. Good step from Jabari, identifying where he has space. Going to take the fade. I mean, that's a tough shot from Jabari. Let's watch that one more time, focusing on Jabari this time. So they see the high action. Hartenstein's doing a great job of putting pressure on Steven Adams, making it hard for him to get this catch that they want. Clearly, there's some kind of action that they're trying to run up here with Şengün, Sheppard, and Steven Adams. Potentially maybe a handoff for Şengün or a horns action for Reed Sheppard or something like that. But if you look here at the bottom of your screen under the rim, you have Jabari, who's able to fight his way into the middle of the floor there between the circles and the Tim Duncan spot right there. Good eyes from Steven Adams to identify that he has that. And look at this matchup. Jabari Smith, 6'10". Shea is, 6'4", 6'5". Jabari is very, very comfortable taking these, post fades, things like that. Alex Caruso is going to help over. So this is a really tough situation for the defense to be in. Hartenstein, Cason Wallace, Lou Dort are all too high to really affect the play significantly here. So it's either you're going to double Jabari Smith and take away that post fade and then leave KD open potentially for three, or you're going to, give like a light double, some light pressure, but, stay focused on KD and allow the 2 point from Jabari Smith. There is some help that comes over, but it's not a hard double. Jabari is able to get the fade, and he drains that. I think if the double was going to come there from Caruso, you probably want to send that a little earlier. Shea with pace yet again. I mean, if Shea has this momentum going downhill attacking, hasn't been able to stop him, Shea is going to get into space, collapse the defense. All 5 Rockets looking at him yet again. Gets fouled. Reed Sheppard is really having a tough time dealing with Shea when Shea is able to get downhill, get that momentum, bringing the ball up the floor or whatnot. The footwork just hasn't been super clean, and he's just been getting blown by because his hips end up getting turned the wrong way a lot. And I mean, it's just good eyes, good anticipation, good reading of the defense from Shea to be able to identify which direction to attack every single time. Şengün bringing the ball up a lot here. The ball pressure forces him. That was actually almost an 8-second violation. Very close on the shot clock there. Gonna have KD one-on-one on Lou Dort. What's the action here? So he's going to pass over to Reed Sheppard as Steven Adams is coming up to set the screen. They want this high pick, but I mean, OKC, the action up here is forced up so high by how well Lou Dort is playing it aggressively on KD that look how much space is between Reed Sheppard and the three-point line, and look how much time and space Hartenstein and Cason Wallace have to recover to this play. Basically, the idea for the play for the Rockets is KD finds Reed Sheppard with the ball. Reed Sheppard is able to curl around the screen from Steven Adams, and he has all this space up towards the top to work with. But Lou Dort's ball pressure is just so good that it blows it up entirely, allows Cason Wallace and Hartenstein to recover. Şengün is basically the backup plan at this point, one-on-one with Caruso, but he's had success attacking this matchup all game. Just a great block by Caruso. I mean, this is what makes OKC OKC, right? Their ball pressure, blowing up actions, great hands from everyone defensively, blocks, steals, everything like that. That's what gives OKC their identity, and we're seeing it again in this game. Trying to get the tap in, can't quite get it. It's going to be Cason Wallace bringing the ball up here in the initial action. Just a little bit of like a brush screen from Hartenstein, a little ghost screen there, whatever you want to call it. Gets Reed Sheppard behind the play. Şengün's going to have to step up. Steven Adams has to be conscious of Hartenstein in the back line here, which means that since Şengün is helping over and Steven Adams has to be conscious, that means Alex Caruso is going to be free over here on the wing. They're face guarding SGA up at the top of the play, so they're basically playing 4-on-4 down here. Good shot again for OKC. It just doesn't go down. Again, trying to get Shea the ball, but look how well Jabari is just staying in between him and the ball, face guarding him. Caruso's going to have to try and attack. Hands off to Case and Wallace. You don't love that defense there from Şengün in this situation. I mean, 7 seconds on the shot clock. Caruso and Case and Wallace basically have to make something out of nothing off of their defenders. Reed Sheppard does a fairly good job of staying in front here. Just a quick dump off to Case and Wallace. Şengün steps out, and you don't love that. He closes out just a little too hard. You have the height advantage and the length advantage in that situation where your contest doesn't need to be super tight and up close, and then Şengün's just slow to recover on the sidestep. I mean, not the best technique there on the closeout from Şengün. But he's probably very tired at this point in the game. He played something like almost 50 minutes in this game. I love this. This is Kevin Durant right here. Lu Dort is basically glued to him all the time, able to use that off arm to create separation, protect his dribble, able to get to the elbow here. And KD's either going to want to spin off of this and get down low to maybe kick out to Şengün or Jabari Smith on the opposite side. Honestly, in this situation, KD should just find the pass to Jabari Smith. I think that's the highest percentage play in this situation because Case and Wallace is zoning these two guys up. If Jabari doesn't get the three, then he can just swing it over to Reed Sheppard for the three. But what he does here is equally good. Hartenstein's going to come over to help. He identifies that little tiny pocket of space behind him as he gets tripped, manages to get the ball off and finishes it. That is Kevin Durant right there. They're so worried about the turnaround jumper. Hartenstein was coming over top of him, basically. Watch this one more time and so you can see what I mean. KD is getting down here towards the elbow. Caruso is trying to help over while staying honest with Şengün. SGA is the low man. Hartenstein is coming over to help on this as well. And you'll see Hartenstein is coming over the top of it, above the elbow here to try and, potentially contest or block the fadeaway, right? Because that's what they expect KD to do in this situation. KD identifies that, gets tripped and grabbed, fouled twice in this occasion, finds the open space, just gets the ball off. OKC defended that fairly well. I mean, KD is just sometimes going to do some ridiculous things. That's actually going to be the 6th foul on Hartenstein on that last possession. So now it's Jalen Williams the rest of the way. SGA trying to work some two-man games, can't get free. They switch that. I think they're happy with that switch. Jabari is honestly the matchup that they want in this situation for the Rockets. They definitely don't want Reed Sheppard one-on-one with SGA here. I think that, look, Jabari is ready to step up if Shea goes over the screen. This is very well defended. Reed Sheppard can peel if Shea tries to reject and go the opposite way. And they eventually just switch it cleanly. That's very good defensive principles, well-executed switch there. This is the matchup they end up wanting. Shea's change of pace is just too lethal. Reed Sheppard bringing the ball up here. KD going to set an initial screen for him to come over. It looks like they want either a catch here for Şengün in space or they want some kind of double drag action, but the spacing is off. It's hard to tell. Yeah, it looks like they want some kind of double drag action there, but the spacing is just off. Şengün is way too close here. They're too far over to this side, so Reed Sheppard ends up just having to dribble it back up. Adams is going to try and rescreen, doesn't catch Case and Wallace. Case and Wallace stays with Reed Sheppard step for step, forces him to try and give it up and pass it to KD, and that's a turnover. That's just classic OKC ball pressure there. I'm not sure what happens here on the initial action, but I mean, it's just the ball pressure and the screen navigation from Case and Wallace plus the ball pressure from Lu Dort there forces a turnover. That is OKC in a nutshell with 40 seconds left. Tight handle there from Shea, getting basically trapped at midcourt by Şengün, or not Şengün, by Steven Adams and Reed Sheppard there. Gets fouled. Rockets take a timeout here to advance the ball and draw up a play. Tari Eason going to inbound. Looking at this play right now, I think what they're going to try and do in this situation is, I mean, obviously they're going to try and go to KD in some way. I think what it'll end up being is just a simple KD trying to curl off a screen from Jabari here, try and catch the ball around the nail or at the top of the key. At least that's what I would imagine based off of the spacing. That's exactly what it is. And then Steven Adams comes up and sets the screen here. They get the switch. Lou Dort's going to chase. Good shading over here by Caruso, but again, Şengün open in the corner. Adams on the roll, gets it back out to KD. There's nothing necessarily procedurally that I can criticize here for Houston. The execution was just not super clean. Clearly, people are tired. Clearly, the chemistry is not 100%. Because KD is able to get downhill in this situation. He should either be finding Steven Adams on the roll or Şengün in the corner. Find Steven Adams on the roll. That's a good pass. Steven Adams then should find either back out to KD or again to Şengün, who's looking to cut here. Isn't able to get forward, gets stopped. His momentum is too far forward. Brings the pass out back to KD. Again, that's what I said he should be doing, is passing back out to KD, but he's just off balance. The pass is a little off target. KD has to take an extra second to set his feet, allows Jalen Williams to close out, and it's just not as good of a shot as it could have been because the execution is a little iffy. Jabari's going to get the ball off the rebound, back out to KD. They're going to soft double. Şengün in space. You can't allow that. Looking again here. So it's Şengün and KD out at the top. Everyone else for the Rockets is basically in the paint or spaced out back down to the flat. They're going to soft double KD to get the ball out of his hands in this situation. 14 seconds left on the clock, 6 on the shot clock. I understand why you're trying to get the ball out of KD's hands with 6 on the shot clock and double overtime up 1. But, I mean, this is far too much space for Şengün to work with on this roll. If you're going to soft double like this, you need Cason Wallace to be zoning these two up while Shea is stepping up here to this far elbow, or Luke Dort does that while Cason Wallace zones up and Shea takes Steven Adams. Someone needs to be stepping up into this space before Şengün even catches the ball. You need to be aware that this is a possibility defensively. And I mean, Şengün just has way too much space, able to get his way to the rim. Rockets up 1 with 11 seconds left. OKC is going to call a timeout. 11 seconds left. Here we go. Probably the final possession of the game here. Caruso going to inbound. Obviously, they're going to try and free up Shea somehow. He's going to dive in, come back out, gets the catch. Kevin Durant's doing a good job, pressuring him, forcing him out as high as possible. But at the end of the day, it is KD one-on-one with Shea in space. Good step up there from Şengün to deny a lane. Basically, if Şengün doesn't step over there, Shea can just drive all the way down to the rim, basically, or to Jabari Smith and then kick out with KD on his hip. But that's a good step up from Şengün to deny that lane. SGA is just going to work one-on-one. Oh, tough situation to be in. That's a great move from Shea to get KD off of his feet. That is a foul out with 2.3 seconds left. So if the Rockets have an opportunity to score the ball here, no KD on the floor. Of course, Shea drains both of them, and it's going to be a timeout from the Rockets. They're going to have 2.3 seconds to get a shot off here at the end of the game. You'd imagine with KD fouled out, they would want to go to either get Şengün some kind of a catch at the elbow or at the nail if they can, or they'd go to Reed Shepherd potentially, Jabari Smith. These are their best options in this situation. 2.3 seconds to decide the game here. Steven Adams is going to inbound it. Looking at this situation here, it's either going to be like similarly to how they freed up KD earlier off of the after timeout. You would expect either they're going to try and do the same thing with Şengün, get him a catch up here at the nail, or they're going to have Jabari Smith kind of maybe flash out to either to the dunker spot or to the corner here while the defense is focused on Şengün. Exactly the same thing. Great ball pressure, or not ball pressure, but just great pressure in general from Lou Dort to make the catch as difficult as possible. Shea, same thing. Jabari is going to have to take the inbounds pass. Just like I said, they have him flashing to the corner if they can't get Şengün free. No time on the clock. Jabari is just going to have to take a turnaround three, and he airballs it. That's a tough one. Just great ball pressure there at the end. Or not ball pressure, but again, just great pressure there from Lu Dort and Shea on Şengün, denying his ability to get the ball in space, because clearly it's the same ATO that they used earlier to free up KD. They wanted to get Şengün free at the nail, at the elbow, something like that, so he could work something, but they just weren't able to get the ball in because of that pressure. Forces it to Jabari, and it's a good attempt. Got the shot off, but you're never going to make that shot in that type of timing. Great game from both teams, honestly. These are two teams that I had both in my top 5 in my power rankings. Just spectacular play on both sides. Great defense from both of these teams. Şengün had a monster game. But at the end of the day, I do think it was the ball pressure from guys like Lu Dort, guys like Cason Wallace, forcing those turnovers and just bothering the Rockets enough to prevent KD from having an explosive game, even while Şengün was going off, and to just get enough done. And then Shea, obviously, with some big buckets in the overtime there. Yeah, shout out to you if you watch this far in the video. If you want to see more stuff from me, remember to like the video and subscribe. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.